the dawn of time. Men and women have sought. What is the meaning of life? What is the
it is? He's been everywhere, he tells us in the psalm. But the one thing he doesn't tell us is that has he found what he's been looking for in these towns and these cities? And no, he doesn't tell us that. He doesn't tell us if he's found what he's been looking for. The Ecclesiastes writer here, Solomon launched out on a quest for the meaning of life. He went through back alleys. He went down dead-end streets. He was looking for the meaning of life. But he ends up finding that no pursuit, no street, no alley, nowheres in this world can he find ultimate meaning. You too can go everywhere. You can try everything that you want to try. You could be like Solomon. You can conduct experiment upon experiment. You can go everywhere, man. But you'll never find true meaning with life under the sun until you meet Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ gives us purpose. Jesus Christ gives us meaning. I don't know if you've been reading through Ecclesiastes, maybe reading ahead. I would encourage you to do so. It's amazing to me that this book was written about 3,000 years ago, but it's like Solomon has been reading the current articles in Time Magazine, Newsweek, New York Times, or USA Today. It's very up to date. We have people today that are on this quest. Solomon, who is the quester here, he is the one that is searching. He's the pundit. He's the preacher. He continues his quest for the meaning of life by traveling everywhere and experiencing everything. First of all, we see him as he travels to Pleasureville. You ever been to Pleasureville? Maybe you're traveling there now. Let's look and see what his journey to Pleasureville found him, beginning in verse 1. I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with mirth. Therefore, enjoy pleasure. But surely this also was vanity. I said of laughter, madness, and of mirth. What does it accomplish? I searched in my heart how to gratify my flesh with wine, while guiding my heart with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, till I might see what my heart with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was good for the sons of men to do under heaven all the days of their lives. I made my works great. I built myself houses and planted myself vineyards. I made myself gardens and orchards, and I planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made myself water pools from which to water the growing trees of the grove. I acquired male and female servants and had servants born in my house. Yes, I had great possessions of herds and flocks than all who were in Jerusalem before me. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the special treasures of kings and of the provinces. I acquired male and female singers, the delights of the sons of men, and musical instruments of all kinds. So I became great and excelled more than all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor. And this was my reward from all my labor. And then I looked on all the works that my hands had done, on the labor in which I had toiled, and indeed all was vanity, grasping for the wind. There was no profit under the sun. Solomon traveled to Pleasureville. He turns away from wisdom and he begins to search in Pleasureville for happiness, for contentment, for fulfillment. Solomon did not seek, as we see in verse 1, he did not seek an answer to his dilemma by finding someone who was older, someone who had been to these places, who had been everywhere, had the t-shirts to prove it. He didn't go to that person and say, tell me what it must mean to go to Pleasureville and seek for purpose and seek for contentment there. He did not go back to the historical archives and look up about his father David to see how his father David found out what the consequences, the sensuality were truly about. He did not go to God in prayer. He did not seek for divine guidance. He just launched out on his own. He was even talking to himself. He wasn't talking to anybody in particular. He was talking to himself. He says to self, let's go and let's seek meaning, let's seek purpose in the city of Pleasureville. So he says, come now, and I will test and see if indeed meaning and purpose in life can be found in Pleasureville. You see the slogans of the pleasure seeker on full display here. It seems like that we are still living in this society today where people who are pleasure seekers, it's all about them. The slogan, I'm looking out for number one. Nobody else in this world matters but me. I want my happiness. I want my joy. I want my contentment. Or you may have as your slogan, if it feels good, just go ahead and plunge into it and let's just do it. Follow the heart. When all the time we know the heart is desperately wicked and no one can understand it. Or your slogan may be, well, you only go around in this world once and then you're dead. Might as well grab all that you can grab on your first trip around and enjoy it. There was a group of philosophers in Greek known as the Epicureans, and the Epicureans had as their mantra, since we die like dogs, never to live again, we might as well eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we may in fact die. H.C. Leopold, who was a German theologian, he says the Hebrew authors had a particular way of writing in which they told you up front what they discovered in their pursuits for the meaning of life. He said this is so different than Western writers, American writers. Here, the advertisers, they don't tell you what you're going to get into as you visit the town of Pleasureville. You watch a sports show, you watch football, you watch basketball, and you see this commercial that's advertising alcohol. You usually see some well-dressed person or someone just having the time of their life, a good time Charlie. And they seem to be having all the friends and all the women around them. These advertisers don't show you the end result of a life hooked on alcohol. They don't show you that there's no meaning, there's no purpose in that. They'll show you scantily clad women and they'll say, well, you can find fulfillment in life through engaging in sexual activity. They don't show you someone that is battling venereal disease. They don't show you someone that has contracted HIV or has full-blown AIDS. They don't show you the end result. But Solomon says, I've been to Pleasureville, and I can tell you that I find nothing but vanity and vexation of spirit. I did not find the meaning of life. Solomon enters the house of hedonism, and he sleeps in all the rooms, and he discovers all the pleasure to be vanity and emptiness. Jerry Seinfeld, perhaps you remember the hit comedy Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld, he said people's attempts to maximize pleasure and happiness is like looking for little islands of relief in what's often a painful existence. So here's Solomon. He's traveling through Pleasureville. He tells us about his trip. And he takes a hard right down Humor Avenue. And Humor Avenue is a wonderful place to visit in Pleasureville. Laughter. Who don't like to laugh? I've seen some people, I think if they were to crack a smile, it'd break their face. I like to laugh. I like to have a good time. I like to joke around. And I'm not one of those people that I can't be the brunt of the joke. Oftentimes, I make a very good end of a joke. We need to laugh. And God is not condemning laughter here in the least. But let's face it, laughter is not a cure-all. Laughter is only momentary. Sometimes the laughter stops altogether, and then the tears come. And then the grief and the sorrow. Alistair Begg says, comedy is fleeting and does not deal with the weighty matters of life. He goes on to say, at best, humor momentarily distracts us from real pain, but it cannot overcome it. One person said, we are amusing ourselves to death trying to find lasting happiness in this world. One comedian who provided a rip-roaring, belly-busting comedy act at the local club was performing in town where this one gentleman was at. And this one gentleman, he was so distraught, he was so down. He went and sought help from a psychologist. And the psychologist met with him and talked to him and tried to help him out, tried to give him some assurances in life. And he said, I can tell that I'm really not benefiting you very much. Your depression is so deep. Let me tell you what may help. It's not going to be a cure, but it may help you. Won't you go down to and he mentioned this nightclub. And he said, there is a gentleman down there, and he is really a funny fellow. He will just keep you in stitches. It's one joke after another. And maybe what you need is just to laugh for a while. And he gave him the name of the nightclub, gave him the name of the comedian. And the man stood up and said, I appreciate your recommendation, but I am that comedian. You see, you may be the life of the party. You may have a smile on your face all the time. You may be Mr. Funny Man or Funny Woman. But in the end, when all the crowd is gone, when you have nobody to perform for, no one to act before, that is when it all sets in. There's no meaning, there's no purpose in laughter. It is just a momentarily fix. It is not lasting. Now, God is not, as I said, He is certainly not opposed to pleasure. He's not opposed to comedy. Ecclesiastes was read during a particular feast, the Feast of the Tabernacles, in the fall of the year. And that's a time where people were so thankful they were celebrating the blessings of God. In chapter 12, verse 1 of Ecclesiastes, Solomon gives the admonition to enjoy God's blessing, especially in the days of your youth. And then 8 times the Hebrew word for pleasure is used in this book. God is not against having a good time. God is not a killjoy. God is not a party pooper. Jesus Christ, when He walked here upon this earth, I believe He laughed. Sometimes the only thing will keep you sane is with laughter, making a joke of it. But we know that when that laughter becomes sort of a bad thing, when we try to make it our end all. Pleasure and laughter are like soap bubbles. They don't leave anything behind. It's like that cotton candy I talked about. It's momentarily satisfying, but then nothing. So Solomon, in his trip, he goes to Pleasureville, he looks at the laughter, he looks for all these pleasures, and he finds nothing. He is traveling down this Humor Avenue here, and he makes a left onto Wine Boulevard. You see, Wine Boulevard is in Pleasureville. They have, as they're saying, come to Wine Boulevard where everybody knows your name. Surely, Solomon says, I will just start to consume wine, and the wine will bring me joy. It'll help me to be free of my problems. And yes, alcohol will numb the senses. Alcohol will take care of the problems for a moment, but then there's a time where the effects of alcohol wear off. As one person called alcohol, he said it was like an anesthetic depressant. And that's all it does, just for a moment. You will find yourself like Jimmy Buffett wasting away in Margaritaville. Wine was found to be just like somebody putting on a mask. And perhaps you've seen that. You know, they have to take a pill or they have to drink some liquor in order to function in society, to help people. But it's only a mask. It's covering up what man is truly longing for. I don't know who you are this morning. I don't know who you are behind closed doors. There may be people here that are drinking alcohol, trying to drown out your problems. I don't know. God knows though, and you know. If you are here like that, know this. Alcohol is not the answer. Wine is not the answer. Jesus Christ is the answer. So as you travel through Pleasureville, you can try all these different streets, but you'll find them to be just dead end. Solomon comes back home. He's upset. He's dejected. So he says, I'm going to plan another trip next week. Next week arrives, and he doesn't go to Pleasureville this time. He travels to Material Springs. He said, I've heard a lot of good things about Material Springs. I've heard that there's great stuff to get in Material Springs. There's building material. I can build bigger and better houses. I can buy the seedlings to plant a great vineyard. He tells us this in the text. And you know, in order to help out in taking care of all these new things I'm going to buy here in Material Springs, I need servants. I need slaves. I need somebody to wait on me. And you know, that's a sign of influence. I've got somebody to bring me my shoes of the morning and to fix my breakfast for me and to bring me the paper. I'm really showing myself to be a man of influence. And I'll find even more so in Material Springs. I'll build houses. And he said he did. He planted vineyards, and he did. Gardens and parks and fruit trees. He even erected a water system whereby the water from that pool would be used to water his trees and his vineyard. Man, he had it all here. Some scholars believe that he wanted to recreate the Garden of Eden. He actually believed that in Material Springs he could find all the materials to create a new Garden of Eden. He tried to return to paradise. But what did Solomon find out? Solomon found out that you cannot go to paradise in this fallen world. This fallen world does not have such a place. Only over the sun will you find paradise. That is heaven. He was an influential entrepreneur, had these servants, had these field workers. He acquired animals and other goods. In 1 Kings 10:14, let me give you an idea of the wealth of this king. An annual income that King Solomon had was $500 million. In 1 year, he cleared $500 million. Did that make him happy? Did that provide him enjoyment? Did that give him meaning and purpose in life? Henry Ward Beecher, who was a noteworthy American preacher from up north, he says success is full of promise until people get it. And then it lasts. Then it seems to be like last year's nest from which the birds have fallen. Isaiah 55 verse 2 tells us the futility of trusting in our work. Now, there's nothing wrong with work. I wish more people would buy into it. We are living in a day and time where it's hard to get people to work. They want to live off of someone else's work and toil. But Solomon found out that he lost himself in his work. And maybe you're like that. You go out there and you get involved in building something or in constructing something. You have this job that you lose yourself in. It becomes that distraction, and you become a workaholic. And you maybe ignore your family, you ignore your friends. This was Solomon. But he found out even his toil was empty. He was a man of means. He didn't need Apple Music. He didn't need iPads or a superb stereo system. No, he didn't need any of these things. He said, I'll just hire the band. He had live music all the time. Sexual conquest. He had 700 and some wives. He had thousands of concubines. If you wanted to see a beautiful woman, you only had to look at Solomon's court of women. And Solomon had dark skin, fair skin. He had all kinds of women. He indulged himself in all the sexual appetites. But he found all of it vanity. Vanity. Nothing satisfied him. Nothing helped him. No street, no town, nowhere provided him an answer to his search. And I have in my life seen people that have searched everywhere. They fit very well the song, I've been everywhere, man. They're like a wandering person going out there. I'm going to try this. This will make me happy. And they can't find any happiness there. And, when you look at life here, this life is empty. You turn on the news, what do you get? Bad news. You pick up a paper, bad news. You're always hearing about things happening, murders. You're hearing about scams, people trying to scam older people out of their life savings. You hear about wars. You hear about failed peace treaties, failed ceasefires. You hear those prophets of doom and says the world cannot last much longer. But they don't tell you that a better world's coming. They just leave it off. This world is going to end. Robert Burns, a Scottish poet, he said, pleasures are like poppies spread. You seize the flower, its bloom is shed. And like snow falls in the river, a moment white, then melts away forever. Or like the rainbow's lovely form, vanishing amid the storm. He went to Pleasureville. Laughter and wine provided him no comfort. He went to Material Springs. Got a lot of good deals. Found a lot of things. But he didn't find lasting happiness. So Solomon next travels the following week to, of all places, Death Valley. He don't know what he may find in Death Valley. Maybe he will find, after meditating a while, some purpose under the sun. He stayed the night in Death Valley to evaluate wisdom and folly. Look at verse number 12. Then I turned myself to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do who succeeds the king? Only what he has already done. Then I saw that wisdom excels folly, as light excels darkness. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. Yet I myself perceive that the same event happens to them all. So I said in my heart, as it happens to the fool, it also happens to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, this also is vanity. For there's no more remembrance of the wise than of the fool forever. Since all that now is will be forgotten in the days to come. And how does a wise man die? Just like the fool dies. And there he sits and meditates. He first meditates on his wisdom. Now Solomon, wisest man in all the earth. And that wisdom lasted him throughout his entire life. We're not talking about somebody that is lacking common sense or intellectual sense. We're talking about a man who had it. He had all understanding. You could ask him whatever question you wanted to ask him, and he could give you the answer. The Queen of Sheba came to him and said, the half has not been told to me. She explored his wisdom. She explored his wealth. She explored all facets of his kingdom and said, you're superior than anybody on the face of the earth. And as he looked at his wisdom, he said, you can acquire all the wisdom and you can pass on your wisdom for the next generation. That's it. That's what I'll do. I will get some students around me and I will impart my wisdom. I will tell them about my travels because I've been everywhere, man. I'll tell them about my travels and I will impart my wisdom to them and I will show them that you can go all these places and still it's just vanity. But he tells us, will they listen? Will they pay attention? Or will they say, well, I want to experience it for myself? My father had a philosophy that he taught me. I guess he figured out that I wasn't going to listen about where he'd been, what he had done, and I was going to look into it myself. And he said, well, you've got to live and learn. If I heard that little phrase, I heard it 100 times growing up. Live and learn. And whenever I come in and I said, you know what happened? I'd be so frustrated something had ended up in a disaster. He said, that's what you find out when you live and learn. And I thought, just be silent, be quiet. Don't tell me this. And these students could have been the same way. He said, they have to find out for themselves. So why have I acquired all this wisdom? Why have I acquired all this learning? Wisdom, he said, still is greater than folly. He said the wise man sees death coming. He said it's only the unwise man, the fool that doesn't see death coming, but the wise do, and they try to make arrangements to meet up with death. They do accept the reality that death is coming. And the fool, well, he just walks in darkness and is called unprepared. But then Solomon begins to look at all of his life of wisdom and knowing. And he said, you know, it's taken me a long time to figure some of these things out. These have not been short trips that I've taken everywhere. And now that I've been everywhere, I've done everything, my life is going to end. Vanity. Vanity. Vanity and vexation of spirit. Verse 16, he says, both the wise man and the fool are forgotten. Is that not true? I love to read biographies. Everybody doesn't share my love. And I will sometimes ask somebody, I said, I'm reading a biography on, and I'll think it is a person that surely they know who they are, and they'll say, well, who's that? I think about the great preachers of the past, like W.A. Criswell and Adrian Rogers and Homer Lindsay and R.G. Lee and the list goes on. And you ask this younger generation, well, have you ever heard of Stephen Olford? Have you ever heard of Adrian Rogers? They'll say, who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? And you see how it play out in your life. You might be a connoisseur of TV shows on Me TV, Gunsmoke, Cheers, or whatever. My Three Sons. I'm reaching back in ancient history now. All these shows. And you can even quote, like you might quote Andy Griffith, and people will say, what are you talking about? You will then realize you're old. You'll realize that people forget things. People are never famous forever. And that's what Solomon is saying here. He said, the wise man and the fool, both are forgotten. And then he concludes, I hate life. I just hate my life. I detest life. No, he's not suicidal. He's like the philosopher Voltaire. He says, I hate life, yet I am afraid to die. Solomon hated life, but he didn't hate it to the point that he wanted to commit suicide. Unfortunately, some people today hate life so much that they welcome suicide. Do you hate life? Have you ever looked at your life and said, boy, my life stinks. My life stinks. I've not fulfilled the dreams that I had when I was a young person, and now I'm not able to fulfill those dreams. I'm just going to die, and I'm going to die a life of unfulfilled dreams. That's Solomon. But if you are a healthy Christian, you should not hate life. You should love life, and you should be looking for how you can put your most into this life for the glory of God. You want to live your life to get the most out of this life for the glory of God. We don't live by explanations. We may never find an answer to our problem of saying, why are we at where we're at? Why am I married to who I'm married to? Why have I been stuck where I've been stuck? And the list of questions go on and on. You say, I want an answer. You do not deserve an answer all the time. You're not to live your life by explanation. You're to live your life by promises. By promises. And know that whatever you do for the glory of God, Paul tells us our labor is not in vain in the Lord. If you want to find lasting happiness, you won't find it in Pleasureville. You won't find it in Material Springs. You won't find it down this street or that street. You'll find it by living your life for the Lord, laboring for the Lord. Solomon next looks at his wealth. What does he conclude? In verses 18 through 23, number one, you can't keep it. There's no pockets in shrouds, as the old philosopher said. Translated to Northeast Tennessee, you'll never see a hearse hauling with a U-Haul attached to the back of it. You won't do it. You cannot keep your wealth. Wall Street Journal, money is an article which may be used as a universal passport to everywhere but heaven, and is a provider of everything but happiness. You can't keep your wealth. You can send your wealth on ahead of you. You can store up your wealth in heaven, but you can't keep your wealth. Number two, you can't protect your wealth. You can't protect it. Verses 19 through 20. Thieves will break in and steal what you have toiled for. You can't protect it. You're going to leave your estate to someone. And you're just hoping that someone has some good sense and knows how to take care of what you've spent your life toiling for. But there's no guarantee. They can run through your life's fortune in a moment of time. You can't protect it. You can't, third of all, you can't enjoy it as you should. Why? Because you're working to make more. And you said, boy, I can't wait till I retire. And then you realize, as one person said, you can't live on retirement. You've got to work to keep making money. Being able to live. Not an elaborate life, but to live. So wealth, he said, it's all vanity. It's all vanity. So what's the conclusion? Solomon, he really looks at his life and he replays the visits to all these places he's been. He said, I've been everywhere, man, and I haven't found it. And he goes outside and he crosses over into a crosswalk. And the proverbial light bulb comes over his head in verses 24 through 26. What does he find in conclusion at the crosswalk? Thank God for what you do have. Paul said, as I said last week, I have learned in whatever state I found myself in to be content. To be content. Enjoy what you have for the glory of God. Do you know why you were created? You were created for the glory of God. And whatever you have, say, God, whatever you bless me with, I'm just going to use it for your glory and your honor. Everything God has given you, just bring glory to God with it. He says that we need to live with character when using what we have. Do you have character with what you do have? Let's face it, there are some people that are not here because they woke up this morning and the bed felt better than coming and getting out and going to church. That's just the truth of the matter. There's people that don't see any need by coming and meeting together with God's people and worshiping God. They instead want to do different things. They want to enjoy this and they want to enjoy that. And I've had them tell me, preacher, I only get Sunday off. And I just want to enjoy myself. Well, I want to ask you, the things that you're enjoying, where on earth do you think those things come from? You didn't get them on your own. God gave them to you. Why not spend an hour or two in God's house thanking Him for what you do have? I am so thankful for what I have. Have I wants? I wouldn't be a red-blooded American if I didn't have wants. There's lots of things I want that I don't have. But I can tell you right now, I have all my needs met according to the riches of God by Christ Jesus. I have all my needs. As you can tell, I've not went hungry. Got a house. Got a car. I've got a church to pack. I've got all these blessings. And I didn't deserve any of them. And you don't deserve the blessings you have. As one person said, and we'll close with this, it is good to have things that money can buy, provided you don't lose what money can't buy. As every head is bowed and every eye is closed, we prepare an invitational hymn this morning.